Hello, awesome people. I hope you are having an amazing day today. Today, I'm doing my review for Serial Saturday for the movie Serial from 1952 called The Radar Man from the Moon and such. So that's going to be our fun little thing that we're going to be doing today. This is a 12-part serial. It's by Republic, which means quality. It's 12 chapters long. It was just 167 minutes. So if you're doing the math from the last week's, this is the Crimson Ghost, also Republic, also 12 parters. This is 12 minutes shorter than that one. There are lots of that pacing, that fastness, that speed, and so forth. There are tons of movies that you'll go see in the theaters right now that are longer than 167 minutes, right? And so forth. Great stuff. It's very, very fast. It's very, very full paced. I just read it again in one sitting rather than one day, like I often do for this. I just sat down, focused on it, and then let it go. You can totally do that. All right. This introduces a unique IP character named Commando Cody, who is going to be hitting a few sequels and so forth. He's played by George Wallace. His character is named Commando, but he's more of a civilian scientist who creates like rockets and stuff like that and such. He's a smart guy behind the scenes scientifically, but then he's going to become, after developing his stuff, his suit and such, his rocket jetpack and stuff, he's going to be moving more to the fronts of the scenes and such. He's going to be, punishing aliens and their henchmen on Earth, all up and down. So he's a civilian and so forth. All right. This also stars as his female sidekick, Joan Gilbert, who comes in on missions with him too. On all the missions, she'll be with him too. And that's Alina Town. I think it's Alina. It's Alina. I think it's Alina. I'm sorry, it's Aline. It's an ET. Sorry about that. And then as their evil antagonist, as the evil ruler of the moon, named Red Rarick, he is played by Roy Barcroft and such. So that's who's the three major starrings. It's not as huge a cast as some of the previous ones by Republic, although there certainly are a number of recurring and returning characters. Just a heads up. All right, it's directed by Fred Brandon and written just by one person. The previous ones have been directed by 2 or 3 people, and oftentimes written by 4 or 5 or 6. But this one's just written by one person, Ronald Davidson, for you folks. Oftentimes like to give you what's happening in the plot in the first episode, so you would find out the basic stuff very, very fast, and then not spoil the rest of it, like who's actually going to happen and that sort of a thing, or who the ultimate bad guy is and so forth, in order to keep this a little spoiler friendly and so forth. And so we see in the first episode a nuclear ray being used to destroy U.S. Infrastructure, troop trains, and that sort of thing. And such, and so him and Commando Cody, and the U.S. secret agents have deduced, since they can't make nuclear rays on the Earth, and they're living in the atomic age. They can't make nuclear rays on Earth, so they deduce it's coming from space, and they believe it's coming from the moon. So Commando Cody's going to make a rocket that are going to land on the moon and then explore it and try to put a stop to this evil villainy that's destroying the infrastructure of America and such. So that's basically the setup. Now again, here are my thoughts real quickly. This is Republic. Again, it's a quality. They got great sets. They got great costumes. The jetpack and so forth for Commando Cody looks pretty strong. Love it lots. And so forth. Great sets, great designs, great fights, great special effects typically, and such. I like that lots. And again, fast pacing. You're not going to spend that much time. I like that lots. You can definitely see it's a Republic serial right on the sets and the scene and such. I like the fun and unique IP of Commando Cody. They don't have to, make this IP fit their story. They can make their story fit the IP like that lots. My major issues here is that I just don't think that they do as good a job, or that's an interesting idea as last week's Crimson Ghost, also by Republic, or The Phantom Menace, starring Gene Autry that we saw from the 30s, the sci-fi western one. So I don't think that it hits as strongly as those do. Those unique IPs and such do. It also feels a little derivative. It's just kind of a science fiction-y sit-in, not that essential and so forth. So for those reasons, and also the fact that in episode 10 they again show repeats in a 12 chapter that's 12 minutes less than the previous one. They're still showing repeats of previous stuff that you've already seen. And for a sequel of the previous one, that might make sense. To set up the stakes and such, and say, oh my gosh, look at how bad this person is, right? Or the situation it's going to be. But just showing what happened in the first episode, in the 10th episode, it just doesn't really, it feels like padding. It doesn't feel like it really pushes the story in any meaningful way, right? And so it's not flashbacks that you haven't seen before, and it's giving you some fresh ideas in episode 10 either, right? So for those reasons, I just don't like it as much. So it's an 8 out of 10 for those two reasons. All right, and such. And again, they don't use the IPs as well as the Crimson Ghost from last week or the Phantom Menace and those showings. Nor is his concept as original or different as, a scientist in action. Yay. We get it, right? And so forth. All right, and there we are. Now, as a reminder, I like to spend my Saturday reviewing serials and so forth. They're sort of an unloved and underappreciated genre in today's method of telling. Previously, everybody still knows movies. Everybody still knows TVs. People typically don't know the movies or the TV serials as much. Basically, what used to happen was this used to really sell out theaters. For example, on a Saturday like today, you might show up to a theater at noon when it's starting its show for the day. Everybody would show up: your family, the community, your work associates, your school associates at your high school or junior high or elementary school, right, and such. Your associates from your nonprofits or your church. Everybody would show up, and they would be there for a few hours, not just for showing one movie, but a bunch of stuff. You would start off with some shorts like newsreels and the cartoons. Those cartoons are only a few minutes long. You'll sometimes see still shown here and there. That's where those come from. They were shown prior to and after movies, and then also the occasional trailer too. Today all you would see is trailers because of how different the industry is. But back then they only had a few, only for the big name feature films. And then after seeing a few shorts, you would see the first, the A film, the big film, and so forth. After it, you would see a serial, the next chapter, and then you would have an intermission of like a half an hour, and then you would come back. It would be like the talking thing, because the serials are the common denominator. They're the cliffhangers, literally and figuratively. That's where the word comes from. And then you would come back into after an intermission, taking a break, talking about what you had seen for another couple of shorts in the B film. Oftentimes that might be like 60 or 70 minutes, sometimes even less than an hour for some films out there and such too. And then after the B film, you would have another couple of shorts and then a final serial, and then send them out, and then come back next week to find out what's going to happen to these two serials, and so forth. That's what brought people back to the theaters. It's how they sold tickets. That's how they did so well, and we've forgotten that method of storytelling, and so forth. So finding these for my channel is a big passion of mine. It's also where my channel's Name the Worst Thing About New Books comes from. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? And that's definitely some older stuff. In this case, we're watching it instead of reading it, but you get the idea. And it's heavily to watch them. So if you enjoyed this and you want to see more serial Saturdays and such, as well as some older movies I do and such. And yesterday, I did my top 10 Godzilla films from the 50s until the more recent stuff, so you can check that out. Also, next Saturday, I'm going to be ranking my King Kong films. So if you like that stuff, check it out too. So hit the subscribe button if you like that stuff, and I also try to do reviews in science fiction, fantasy, and horror, typically in written things like novels and short stories, novellas, poems, that sort of a thing from older stuff too. And in those try to do 3 of those reviews. I do a video game review on Wednesday too. So check that out if you're interested in it. So please, and then let your friends know too. That's the most important part, because we definitely want to grow the channel, get the hours in, so I can monetize the channel, that sort of thing. So that would be great. Love it lots if you're helping that. All right, and then finally, I just want to thank you so very much, for taking some time out of your day and investing and watching my videos, because we all have so many things that are happening, right, in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.